A jury found Sakiyna Thompson guilty of killing 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson in 2022. Prosecutors argued Thompson surprised Hodgson at her Tamarac apartment.
Every story has a face. Every face hides a truth. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's uncover it. July 2022. A single blocked notification on social media. That's all it took. A woman boards a plane from New York City to South Florida, not for vacation, not to visit family, but for something far darker. Within hours of landing, a 23-year-old waitress would be found stabbed to death in her apartment. The killer, someone she'd never met in person. What started as a digital dispute ended in blood and a murder trial that would expose how online jealousy can transform into real-world violence. This is the story of Sakiyna Thompson. Tamarac, Florida. Summer 2022.
Confronted her about the two of them dating the same man and then stabbed her to death.
Kayla Hodgson lived in Tamarac Village Apartments. At 23 years old, she worked as a waitress, building a life one shift at a time. She was dating someone, a man whose name would become the invisible thread connecting two women who'd never spoken, never argued face to face, never had a chance to walk away from what was building between them. 1,500 miles north in Springfield Gardens, Queens, New York, lived Sakiyna Thompson, late 20s, with a history that made prosecutors take notes. She had a connection to the same man Kayla was now seeing. Thompson had been involved with him first, past tense. But here's the thing about modern breakups. They don't really end. Not when social media exists. Not when you can still see your ex's life unfolding in real time through tagged photos and relationship status updates. And Thompson was watching. She was watching when the man moved on, watching Kayla Hodgson appear in his photos, smiling and happy. She cataloged every post, every comment, every digital breadcrumb of their new relationship. The friction point came when Kayla, tired of the messages or the hovering digital shadow, made a decision that seemed simple at the time. She blocked Thompson on social media. One click, one boundary, one digital door slammed shut.
Hodgson's family cried tears of joy in the courtroom Tuesday.
For most people, a block is an inconvenience. For Thompson, it became something else entirely, because being blocked didn't make Thompson disappear. It made her plan a trip. You won't believe what investigators would find in her search history, but first, you need to see what happened on the night of the 13th of July. July 13th, 2022, Tamarac, Florida. The call came in after dark. Neighbors had heard something. The kind of sounds that make people debate whether to call 911 or convince themselves it's nothing. Someone made the call. When police arrived at Kayla Hodgson's apartment, they found a scene that would haunt even experienced officers. Kayla had been stabbed multiple times. The attack was brutal, personal, the kind of violence that speaks to rage that had been building for weeks, feeding on itself in the quiet hours. She was 23 years old. Now she was gone. The apartment told a story. Blood patterns suggested a struggle. But here's what made detectives stop. There were signs that someone had tried to clean up. They'd stayed. They'd attempted to erase their presence to buy time. Investigators found something that would crack the case wide open. Clothing. Bloody clothes that had been changed out of, discarded, left behind in the panic of escape.
Over 2 hours of testifying in her own defense, Sakiyna Thompson told jurors she was jealous of the relationship her boyfriend had with the victim.
Crime scene technicians photographed everything. They collected DNA samples. They bagged evidence with the kind of methodical care that comes from knowing courtroom battles are won on a chain of custody. Meanwhile, someone had fled. Someone who'd flown from New York specifically to be here, who'd tracked down an address and walked up to an apartment door. Kayla Hodgson was dead. And the person responsible had made one critical mistake. They'd left evidence behind. DNA evidence. Digital evidence, the kind of trail that modern forensics can follow like breadcrumbs, leading investigators straight to a doorstep in Queens. You won't believe how quickly the police identified their suspect. Within days of Kayla's murder, investigators had a name, Sakiyna Thompson. The forensic evidence was damning. DNA from the bloody clothing matched Thompson's profile. But it wasn't just physical evidence. It was digital evidence that told a detailed story. Phone records showed Thompson had purchased a plane ticket from New York to Fort Lauderdale. Location data placed her phone in Tamarac around the time of the murder. Search history revealed something chilling. She'd been researching Kayla's address, looking up the apartment complex, planning this confrontation with premeditation.
A little, I guess you could say, jealous and like insecure.
Thompson admitted to flying from New York to Tamarac in July of 2022, in part to confront Hodgson about the relationship.
This wasn't spontaneous. This was calculated. A woman who'd boarded a plane with a mission, who'd traveled 1,500 miles because a social media block had become an unbearable insult. On July 25, 2022, just 12 days after Kayla's murder, a warrant was issued for Thompson's arrest. Broward County prosecutors charged her with first-degree murder, the kind that requires proving premeditation, which carries the possibility of life in prison. By early August, NYPD officers surrounded Thompson's residence in Queens. She was taken into custody without incident. Broward County authorities began extradition proceedings to bring her back to Florida. The arrest made headlines. Woman flies from NYC to kill ex's new girlfriend captured the absurdity and horror in equal measure. Kayla's family released a statement expressing relief that an arrest had been made, but acknowledging that no amount of justice would bring their daughter back. They described her as kind, hardworking, someone who'd simply had the misfortune of dating the wrong person's ex. The community rallied. Vigils were held. Candles were lit outside the apartment complex.
This video shows Thompson showing up unexpectedly at Hodgson's Tamarac apartment at 4 o'clock in the morning.
People felt the weight of her absence, the senselessness of a life cut short because someone couldn't let go. But here's where the case takes its most dramatic turn. When Thompson finally stood trial, she didn't deny being at the apartment. She didn't deny the confrontation. She claimed self-defense. You won't believe what she testified to on the stand. The trial, October 2025, more than 3 years after Kayla Hodgson's murder. The courtroom was packed. Kayla's family sat in the front row, faces etched with grief, eyes locked on the woman accused of taking their daughter. Sakiyna Thompson sat at the defense table, about to make a risky decision. She was going to testify. She took the stand and told a story that painted her as the victim. According to Thompson's testimony, she went to Kayla's apartment to talk, to have a conversation she claimed was meant to be peaceful. But when she arrived, things escalated.
She just starts grabbing my hair and punching me. And I'm on the floor. I'm kicking. I'm trying to get up to fight back at this point because now it's a fight.
Then, Thompson testified, Kayla attacked her with a hookah glass, heavy enough to be a weapon, sharp enough when broken to cause injury. Everyone in that courtroom knew what was coming. Life in prison, the ultimate consequence for a crime that started with a blocked notification and ended with a knife. Sakiyna Thompson now faces life in prison for the first-degree murder of Kayla Hodgson. With the guilty verdict delivered, the appeals process will likely drag on for years, but the outcome is clear. Thompson will spend the rest of her life behind bars, a permanent reminder that jealousy and violence leave permanent scars. But the case raises questions that extend far beyond one woman's conviction. This wasn't a crime that happened in isolation. It was the endpoint of a pattern that's becoming disturbingly common in the social media age. Online disputes are escalating into real-world violence. Digital harassment is transforming into physical stalking. Blocked accounts and deleted messages create obsessions that fester in the dark corners of someone's mind until they explode into homicidal rage.
I told her I was pregnant, so I felt like she was trying to hurt me and my baby. I didn't just fight for me, I fought for me and my baby.
Ma'am, you're at her house at 4 o'clock in the morning.
They're left with memories, photographs, and the knowledge that justice was served. But justice doesn't fill the empty chair at Thanksgiving, doesn't answer the phone when you forget for a moment that she's gone, doesn't heal the wound that grief carves into your chest. The Tamarac community has tried to move forward. The apartment where Kayla died has new tenants now. Life goes on, the way it always does, indifferent to tragedy.
I had to change at that point because I'm like, I can't leave out of here looking like this.
Why did you feel like you had to change?
Because there was blood everywhere.
But people remember. They remember the vigils, the news coverage, the way it felt to realize that someone could fly across the country to kill a stranger over a social media slight. And they remember Kayla, not as a victim, not as a news story, but as a person. A waitress who smiled at customers, a girlfriend who tried to set healthy boundaries, a young woman who deserved so much more than 23 years. Ending, July 2022, a blocked notification, a plane ticket, a murder that shocked South Florida.
Why didn't you call the police?
I was scared. Just scared.
Okay. What were you scared of?
I was pregnant and like I just killed somebody.
Sakiyna Thompson flew 1,500 miles to kill a woman she'd never met, driven by jealousy that festered in digital shadows. A jury found her guilty of first-degree murder. She'll spend the rest of her life in prison. Kayla Hodgson was 23 years old when she died, gone because someone couldn't let go. If this case shocked you, wait until you hear about Jessica Williams. I linked that story right here. Like, comment, and subscribe. Every story has a face. Let's keep uncovering the truth.